Devaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nashtapraisha Vadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtike. So continuing with the discussion on Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila, Chapter 8. The author receives the orders of Krishna and Guru. Text 63 onwards. Nirantara shunete ho Chaitanya Mangala, Tahare prashade shunen Vaishnava Sakam. He always heard the readings of Sri Chaitanya Mangal, and all the other Vaishnavas used to hear it by his grace. So he means Haridas Pandit. They are talking about. Kathaye Sabha Ujjwal Kare Yena Pravana Chandra Nija Gunan Amrite Badaye Vaishnava Ananda. Like the full moon, he illuminated the entire assembly of Vaishnavas by speaking Sri Chaitanya Mangal, and by the nectar of his qualities, he increased their transcendental bliss. Teho ati kripa kari agya kaila more Gaurangera Shesha Lila Varni Bharata. By his causeless mercy, he ordered me to write about the last pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Kashishwara Gosai Rishishya Govinda Gosai Govindera Priya Sevak Tara Samanai. Govind Gosai, the priest engaged in the service of Lord Govinda in Vrindavan, was a disciple of Kashishwara Gosai. There was no servant more dear to the Govinda deity. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur writes in his Anubhashya, Kashishwar Gosai was one of the contemporaries of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who was with the Lord in Jagannath Puri, also known as Kashishwar Pandit. He was a disciple of Ishwar Puri and son of Vasudev Bhattacharya, who belonged to the dynasty of Kanji Lal Kanu. His surname was Chaudhary. His nephew, his sister's son, who was named Rudra Pandit, was the original priest of Vallabhpura, which is situated about 1 mile from Shri Rampur railway station in the village of Chatara. Installed there are the deities of Radha Govinda and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Kashishwar Gosai was a very strong man, and therefore when Lord Chaitanya visited the temple of Jagannath, he used to protect the Lord from the crowds. Another of his duties was to distribute prasad to the devotees after kirtan. So this name, this person, Kashishwar Pandit, he will come again and again during Mahaprabhu's later pastimes in Jagannath Puri. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur visited this temple at Vallabhpur. At that time, the person in charge was a Shaivite, Shri Shiva Chandra Chaudhary, who was a descendant of Kashishwar Gosai's brother. In Vallabhpura, there was a permanent arrangement to cook 9 kilos of rice, vegetables, and other foodstuffs daily. And near the village, there is sufficient land which belonged to the deity on which this rice was grown. Unfortunately, the descendants of Kashishwar Gosai's brother have sold a major portion of this land, and therefore the deity worship has now been hampered. Wow. So, who knows what goes on in temples in different places? It is said in the Gaur Gunadesh Deepika that the servant of Krishna in Vrindavan, named Bringar, descended as Kashishwar Gosai during the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In our householder life, we also sometimes visited this temple of Vallabhpur and took prasadam there at noon. The deities of this temple, Shri Radha Govinda and Gauranga Vigraha, are extremely beautiful. Near Vallabhpur is a beautiful temple of Jagannath. We sometimes used to take prasadam in this Jagannath temple also. These two temples are situated within a 1 mile radius of the Shri Rampur railway station near Calcutta. So maybe when we visit Calcutta and Mayapur, we can visit this temple. Yadvacharya Gosai Shri Rupera Sangi Chaitanya Charite Teho Ati Badarangi. Sri Yadvacharya Gosai, a constant associate of Srila Rupa Goswami, who was also very enthusiastic in hearing and chanting about Lord Chaitanya's pastimes. Pandit Gosai Rishishya Bhugarbha Gosai Gaur Katha Vinayar Mukhyanya Nai. Bhugarbha Gosai, a disciple of Pandit Gosai, was always engaged in topics regarding Lord Chaitanya, knowing nothing else. Tara Shishya Govindpur Jak Chaitanya Das Mukundananda Chakravarti Premi Krishna Das. Among his disciples were Chaitanya Das, who was a priest of the Govind deity, as well as Mukundananda Chakravarti and the great devotee Krishna Das. Acharya Gosai Shishya Chakravarti Shivananda Niravadhi Tara Chitte Chaitanya Nityananda. Among the disciples of Anantacharya was Shivananda Chakravarti, in whose heart Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda constantly dwelt. Arajat Vrindavane Vaishya Bhakta Gahan Shesha Lila Shunite Sabar Helaman. In Vrindavan, there were also many of the great devotees, all of whom desired to hear the last pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. More agya karila sabe karuna kariya, tasa bar bole likhi nirlaja haiya. By their mercy, all these devotees ordered me to write of the last pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Because of their order only, although I am shameless, I have attempted to write this Chaitanya Charitamrita. To write about the transcendental pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is not an ordinary endeavor. Unless one is empowered by the higher authorities or advanced devotees, one cannot write transcendental literature. For all such literature must be above suspicion, or in other words, it must have none of the defects of the conditioned souls, namely mistakes, illusions, cheating, and imperfect sense perceptions. The words of Krishna and of the disciplic succession that carries the orders of Krishna are actually authoritative. So the words of Krishna and of the disciplic succession that carries the orders of Krishna are actually authoritative. Means they don't have the defects that other literature might have, which is written by conditioned souls. That's why even if it is written by 6 Goswamis, anything written by 6 Goswamis is completely authoritative. To be empowered to write transcendental literature is a privilege in which a writer can take great pride. As a humble Vaishnava, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, being thus empowered, felt very much ashamed that it was he who has to narrate the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Although he was empowered, he was asked for by different Goswamis, different devotees in Vrindavan, but because of his humility, he's saying, I'm shameless. And because I'm going to write, means sounds like too much of pride, but he was so humble. Vaishnavera agya paya chintita antare madana gopale gela agya magibare. Having received the order of the Vaishnavas, but being anxious within my heart, I went to the temple of Madan Mohan in Vrindavan to ask his permission also. A Vaishnava always follows the order of Guru and Krishna. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita was written by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami by their mercy. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami considered all the devotees that have been mentioned to be his preceptor gurus or spiritual masters. And Madan Gopal, or at that time Srimad, originally he was Madan Gopal, but later his name was changed to Sri Madan Mohan, is Krishna himself. Thus he took permission from both of them. And when he received the mercy of both Guru and Krishna, he was able to write this great literature, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. This example should be followed. Anyone who attempts to write about Krishna must first take permission from the spiritual master and Krishna. Krishna is situated in everyone's heart, and the spiritual master is his direct external representative. Thus, Krishna is situated antarbahi, within and without. One must first become a pure devotee by following the strict regulative principles and chanting 16 rounds daily. And when one thinks that he is actually on the Vaishnava platform, he must then take permission from the spiritual master, and that permission must also be confirmed by Krishna from within his heart. Then, if one is very sincere and pure, he can write transcendental literature, either prose or poetry. So this purity has to be there. Then, see, here Prabhupada's writing must also be confirmed by Krishna from within his heart. So, yes, we can say I've taken permission, or I've been told by Krishna to write. But I have to be, this is my introspection. Am I really being told by Krishna? It is my desire to write something and my desire to become famous in the world. Is it my humility or pride talking? I don't know. That one has to see himself. Darshana kare kailo charana vandan, Gosai das pujari kare charana sevan. When I visited the temple of Madan Mohan, the priest, Gosai Das, was serving the feet of the Lord, and I also prayed at the Lord's lotus feet. Prabhura charane yadi agya magila, Prabhu kanta haite mala khasiya padila. When I prayed to the Lord for permission, a garland from his neck immediately slipped down. So that is considered a permission from the Lord. Many times this has happened with devotees. Sab Vaishnava Gana Hari Dhani Dila Gosai Dasai Mala More Gale Dila. As soon as this happened, the Vaishnava was standing there, all loudly chanted Haribol. And Gosai Das brought me the garland and put it around my neck. Agya Mala Paya Amar Haila Ananda Tahai Karinu Ei Granthera Haramba. So why the Gosain Das brought the garland to Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami, and as it is said, the Vaishnavas standing there all loudly chanted Haribol. Means he didn't take the garland to any other Vaishnava, only to Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami. So probably he was also inspired from within to take the garland to him, and Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami understood this is the permission from the Lord. So I was greatly pleased to have the garland signifying the order of the Lord. And then and there, I commenced to write this book. Ei grantha lekhaye mor madana mohan, amara lekhaye yena shukera pathan. Actually, Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita is not my writing, but the dictation of Shri Madan Mohan. My writing is like the repetition of a parrot. This should be the attitude of all the devotees. When the Supreme Personality of Godhead recognizes a devotee, the Lord gives him intelligence and dictates how he may go back to Godhead. This is confirmed in Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Tesham satatyuktanam bhajtam priti purvaka dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mahapayantite. To those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. The opportunity to engage in the transcendental loving service of the Lord is open to everyone because every living entity is constitutionally a servant of the Lord. To engage in the service of the Lord is a natural function of the living entity, but because he is covered by the influence of Maya, the material energy, he thinks it to be a very difficult task. But if he places himself under the guidance of a spiritual master and does everything sincerely, immediately the Lord, who is situated within everyone's heart, dictates how to serve him. The Lord gives this direction, and thus the devotee's life becomes perfect. Whatever a pure devotee does is done by the dictation of the Supreme Lord. Thus it is confirmed by the author of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita that whatever he wrote was written under the direction of the Sri Madan Mohan deity. So this mood or this attitude is very, very important to perform any devotion service, not just writing about it. Writing is a big task because that that literature will be there for many, many years to come. So writing is definitely a much bigger task than any other service. But for any other service, we have to be very humble and understand this is how the Lord wants me to serve him. Say likhi madan gopal ye likhaya, kashte raputali na kuhake na chaya. As a wooden doll is made to dance by a magician, I write as Madan Gopal orders me to do so. This is the position of a pure devotee. One should not take any responsibility on his own, but should be a soul surrendered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who will then give him dictation as a Chaitya Guru or the spiritual master within. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is pleased to guide the devotee from within and without. From within, the Lord guides him as a Supreme. Haribol, please mute yourself. So the Supreme Personality of Godhead is pleased to guide a devotee from within and without. From within, the Lord guides him as a super soul, and from without, he guides him as a spiritual master. Kuladi Devata Mura Madana Yara Seva Prabhu Rupa Sanatan. I accept as my family deity Madan Mohan, whose worshippers are Raghunath Das Goswami, Shri Rupa Goswami, and Sanatan Goswami. Vrindavan Dasir Pad Padma Kari Dhyan, Tara Agya Laya Likhi Yahate Kalyan. I took permission from Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur by praying at his lotus feet, and upon receiving his order, I have attempted to write this auspicious literature. Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami took permission not only from the Vaishnavas and Madan Mohan, but also from Vrindavan Das Thakur, who is understood to be the Vyas of the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Lila te Vyas Vrindavan Das Tar Kripa Vina Ane Nahaya Prakasha. Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur is the authorized writer on the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. Without his mercy, therefore, one cannot describe these pastimes. See, again, they are contemporaries, but Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is taking a humble, very humble position. He's saying, Vrindavan Das Thakur is authorized writer. I'm not. Murkha Nicha Shudra Mui Vishaya Lalas Vaishnava Agya Balikari Hiteka Sahas. I am foolish, lowborn, and insignificant. I always desire material enjoyment. Yet, by the order of the Vaishnavas, I am greatly enthusiastic to write this transcendental literature. Shri Rupa Raghunath Charane Rai Bala Yara Smriti Siddha Haya Vanchita Saka. The lotus feet of Shri Rupa Goswami and Raghunath Das Goswami are my source of strength. Remembering the lotus feet can fulfill all one's desires. Shri Rupa Raghunath Pade Yar Asa Chaitanya Charitamrita Kahe Krishna Das. Praying at the lotus feet of Shri Rupa and Shri Raghunath, always desiring their mercy, I, Krishna Das, narrate Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita, following in their footsteps. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Lila, 8th chapter, in the matter of authors receiving the orders of authorities, Krishna and Guru. So we'll stop here, and tomorrow we'll start chapter number 9. See anybody has any questions or comments? Okay, you all have a safe and wonderful day. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.